Hello all, welcome back. Welcome new subscribers too. And I hope this video finds everyone safe and well. So today what I'm going to do is take a look underneath the front end and also change the oil and filter. I want fresh oil in the car, or excuse me, I want fresh oil in the engine before I turn it over, or roll it over by hand, and then turn it over, of course. But if the engine's still good and it happens to fire up, I'll have some peace of mind knowing that I've got fresh oil and filter in the engine. So before I do that though, I got to jack this thing up, and I've already got it up a little ways and put some boards under the front tires, and I'm using these plugs. They go in cutouts in the frame along the sides. These cutouts are used in the frame for transporting the car and tying it down, and these plugs happen to fit right in pretty nice. They just go in and then twist like that. So this plug, if you can see, just goes right up in that hole. And then I twist it a little bit so it stays on its own, hangs there. I'm going to put the jack underneath, jack it up, then I'm going to go around to the front and put jack stands under the frame. Well, it's braced up in the front now. A couple jack stands. I notice in the back there seems to be oil leak going on back there and getting on the exhaust. Take a look at that. There's a oil filter hanging down right there. So kind of looks like it's universal leaking all the way around the pan there. Not sure what's going on with that, but up front here, anyway, this skid piece here is kind of dented in and about gone. And I'll go over here. This one ain't much better here. This is just a strap I was using to pull it around a little bit with. Probably shouldn't have, but I did. Anyway, this piece here is missing. It, I'll call it an air dam, but it forces the air up into the radiator this way. So anyway, it doesn't look very good. Well, I mean, it's missing, so that'll have to be replaced. And then get my cob light on. Look up in there, and you can see that the condenser is kind of clogged at the top there. That needs to be cleaned out. That'll cause less airflow to the radiator, make it run hotter. So this engine, it was sold with mechanical problems. Now, I don't know. It could be a buffet of mechanical problems, or it could just be one big, huge mechanical problem and it's surrounded by a buffet. So, the entree and the buffet, I guess. I know. Well, it looks like the oil pan's going to fit okay, but I think I'm going to have to do a lot of cleaning under here. There's the oil filter. Yeah, it looks like it. A little exhaust leak over on that side, maybe on this side too. Or it's the oil blowing back onto the exhaust and burning off. That's what I probably think it is. Okay, now that she's cleaned up, let's see what she looks like under here. Cleaned up a little bit anyway. I want to say Purolator or Purolator oil filter when I see white. Okay, this side has the starter, and it's back right up in there. Yeah, Bob, you are a noisy bird. drain plug looks easier to get to on this side than it does on the other. Don't know why. I'm going to break this drain plug loose with 15mm socket and my pass-through Craftsman socket wrench. Regular ratchet socket wrench. It's too wide. If I didn't use this wrench, I would have to use a box end wrench. But I'm going to go ahead and try it with this one first and see if I can break it loose. It is kind of a short handle, but it may work. Pull it towards me. Oh yeah, there's no problem there. So what I'm going to do next is I want to get some of this old oil in a jug. So I'm going to see if I can get this to drip a little first. If the oil was warmer, it'd be coming out a lot faster. And the reason I'm doing this, trying to make a collection, is I wanted to see if there was any water in the bottom of the oil pan. Generally though, when you take a drain plug loose, if there's a lot of water, it'll be nice and clear coming out and then it'll turn to oil. But I would also like to see if there's any metal shavings or anything like that. I'm afraid if I loosen it up anymore, it's just going to come gushing out. I'm going to have a mess under here. Okay, I'm going to take that drain plug loose and get that oil out of there. Alrighty. I do not see any water. I'm going to let that drain out for a good long time. Book says it holds 6.5 quarts. Probably going to end up with about 6 in it, because I am going to put some in the oil filter. I don't want the engine to have to wait for any oil pressure when it rolls around. This drain plug uses a crush washer similar to what Honda does. While this is continuing to drain, I'm going to go and remove the oil filter and replace it. Looks like my oil pan's big enough to do both at the same time. This wrench here would be fine. It's a swivel handle. He said if I'm using one hand, if I wanted to wrestle with it, this wrench would probably do it. But I think I found an easier way. This one here goes over the bottom of it, and then it almost holds itself on there. So I'm going to go ahead and use this wrench. Oh, that was really loose. I bet I could have got that with my hands, which is what you're supposed to be able to do. But I think that one was a little looser than it should have been. Perhaps there might have been an oil leak from it. Nice to have a big drain pan. Okay, now that messiness begins, usually. Let's see if I was right, if this is a Purolator. Could be a Wix, huh? I don't know. Here we go. Yippee skippy. We'll never know. I'll have to clean it up and tell you later, show it to you later. Come on out of there. Ugh. Performance PO48. Okay, yeah, the gasket's still on the filter. And it's nice and smooth up there. Yeah, no gasket stuck up there either. That's where the oil filter goes. I'm going to clean that up some. I have partially filled the oil filter, probably about halfway with oil. That way it'll give the engine a little bit quicker reboot to oil pressure, if it has any. I've also put a little fresh oil around the rubber sealing washer that is on the filter. I'm using a Mobil M1 107A filter. Waiting for for the gasket to contact the surface. Just did right there. Okay, now I got to go 3/4 of a turn. And I have a marker, but it's a black marker. Still, maybe it'll show up. Anyway, you can see the line right here. So 3/4 of a turn. If I can't get it with my bare hands, if they slip, I'll put on some gloves. Yeah, it's a little slippery. Okay, these rubber gloves will grip it. Okay, you probably can't see it, but my marks are just right about here on the back side. So, yeah, it's pretty close to 3/4 of a turn. And so the oil filter is on there. So I'm going to put the drain plug back in. By the way, the crush washer is not the same size as the one for my Honda, so I'm going to see if I can get by using this old one. And if I do happen to have a drip, well, I'll make sure I get a new crush washer in the future, because it's going to get another oil change. Book calls for 6.5 quarts of oil. I bought 7. I'm going to put 6 in it. If and when it runs, I'll put the other half in. For right now, I'm going to be using Mobil 1 1030 high mileage advanced synthetic formula. It calls for 5W30. I could not find it. So the owner's manual says that 1030 will work. Seems how summer's coming on. I don't think we're going to need any lighter oil than this. You must pour slowly. Alright, there's 5 quarts. And here's what's left of this 6 quart. I used some of this to partially fill the oil filter. Got to check the dipstick. It's very difficult to see with new oil, but I will tell you that it's right about where my thumbnail is. So a half a quart's going to probably bring it up to there, or full, one or the other. So yeah, it's sitting pretty good. I'm going to take this empty container here, and I'm going to dump the oil from the drain pan into it, and hopefully it will at least fill this up. If it's going to overfill it, then I'll know they probably had the correct amount of oil in this, or it had leaked out, one or the other. Okay, to summarize, the oil looked normal. No antifreeze, no water, no metal shavings in it whatsoever. Looked like a normal oil change, so that's good news. So until the next video, I want to thank you all for subscribing and watching. Me and the birds are very noisy. We'll say bye for now.